Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Yesterday, South Yorkshire Police lost its chief constable. Now the force faces a class action lawsuit from the families of the Hillsborough disaster victims, angry at what they say was a widespread police cover-up. With trust in the force shattered by a series of scandals over the last 3 decades, there is speculation it may be disbanded entirely. Our chief correspondent Alex Thompson has spent the day in Sheffield to see what the people who pay for the force actually think.
One lonely tribute today at the Leppings Lane end of Hillsborough Stadium as pressure piles on now on the South Yorkshire Police Force. Yesterday, the city of Sheffield absorbed the news that the Chief Constable was suspended over Hillsborough. Today, more news. 400 families are now suing South Yorkshire and West Midlands forces.
I want to go to the bigger picture. South Yorkshire Police have been prominent in a number of events. Hillsborough's not the only one. West Midlands are famous for the Birmingham Six and other similar events.
And now a growing wider debate about South Yorkshire Police being abolished, merged, renamed. Everything, it seems, is on the agenda.
A new management system needs to be brought in, a complete refresh of the senior management team, looking at both divisional command as well as what happens for special events. It's quite clear that the structures, the people and the personnel are not in place to deliver good and excellent policing.
A sense today that this whole storm swirling around South Yorkshire Police is now spinning completely out of their control. It now emerges that stand-in Chief Constable Dawn Copley was promoted yesterday, but faces a corruption investigation over a previous role at Greater Manchester Police. The reputation of South Yorkshire Police was already damaged by the violence it meted out to striking miners at Orgreave in the miners' strike years before Hillsborough happened. The long-running child sex scandals at Rotherham took place under the supposed watch of South Yorkshire Police. The same force behind the fiasco of inviting the BBC to film as they raided Cliff Richard's mansion, even though he'd been neither charged nor arrested.
I think what a politician said yesterday in the House of Parliament, saying that the South Yorkshire Police Force should be disbanded. He's right, it should be a Yorkshire National Police Force.
Do you trust the police?
Yeah.
You do? Right, you got faith in them? Even after the Hillsborough inquest and everything?
I think with the Hillsborough, it's all that a number of circumstances that caused Hillsborough.
A number, not just the police?
Not just the police.
Do you trust South Yorkshire Police?
Well, nobody does nowadays. I mean...
Nobody?
Well, after the Rotherham disaster, then this, what do you expect?
Right.
It can't be very good for them, can it? So it's their own fault, isn't it?
Okay.
The Hillsborough families and survivors have the truth. Now they want justice, and their hopes for that lie with the criminal investigation, Operation Resolve. Operation Resolve now have more than 70,000 papers which have never been made available to any previous investigation into Hillsborough. They also have 5,200 police notebooks which were never sent to previous investigations like the Hillsborough Independent Panel. And we can now report that some 74 officers who were connected to the events here at this stadium that day have refused to cooperate with this criminal investigation. South Yorkshire Police are closing down, refusing to give interviews as the questions mount up, and not least why suspended Chief Constable David Crompton spent £19 million of taxpayers' money defending police lies at the Warrington inquest.
Well, mercifully tonight we're out of the driving rain and cold of Sheffield in a nice warm sitting room. Happy to say we're joined by Deborah Martin. As many will know, she was a police officer on the day there. Deborah, thanks very much for being with us, or inviting us to you, I should say. Your memories of that day particularly, I know you talk about police officers being rooted to the spot with fear, and the fans.
Everything, there was a lot going off that day. It was absolutely horrific on the pitch when I did get there. I recollect seeing some of my own team from Echo 2, that's Woodseats Police Station. They seemed to stand out more than anybody. Everyone worked as a team, but again, there were officers who were just stood doing nothing. I think this was all down to shock, and on top of that, not being trained to deal with, such a big thing that was occurring.
And chaos, command and control had gone.
Chaos. I mean, no radios worked. We had to do our own initiative. You either did it by yourself or, as I say, you did it as a group effort. But mainly everything, it was just a mad time. It was horrific what I did see and had to deal with. Right. It was
and the fans angry at what was going on.
Absolutely, but in all that turmoil and everything that was occurring, it was the fans that stand out for me. Because they fought tooth and nail to help police officers. Now, these are people who've been labelled as drunk and disorderly. I can actually say to this very day that they were not drunk and disorderly on that pitch. They were tearing billboards down with their hands. They were trying to pull the fencing down with their hands. Police officers were, but again, there were police officers who were just stood doing nothing.
Well, let's talk now about the cover-up. You were very much a victim of that, the police cover-up as a police officer. What happened?
It was horrible the way I was treated. I was always a good officer. I did everything to the best of my ability. Then to suddenly find that I was no longer with South Yorkshire Police, and then it was a trail of hate, because there was I, out of hundreds of police officers, who was willing to come forward and tell the truth. And
you were told to shut up about Hillsborough?
I was told to shut up about Hillsborough. Constantly in interviews, all I've heard over the last 27 years is constantly a barrage against my good name, right. Which to me, I feel as though South Yorkshire Police have ruined. There's black on my name.
Indeed. And to move things forward to the events of the last 24 hours, they say the police force here now in South Yorkshire should be disbanded. Should it?
I agree entirely. South Yorkshire Police have given themselves a bad name. It's all right trying to have other people blamed for what they've done, i.e. myself, but at the end of the day, they were aware of the situation. They've done this cover-up for the last 27 years. They've made people, the 96, suffer. They've made myself suffer and have nightmares and be tortured by Hillsborough. Out of it all, they should be disbanded. They should no longer be called South Yorkshire Police. They can relabel them, but at the end of the day, I think people...
And held to account by the law.
Held to account, exactly. They can't get away with it. They cannot get away with it. They can relabel them, but how they relabel, I have no idea.
Right, well, we'll see what happens with that.
Exactly.
Deborah Martin, who was there on the day and still telling her view and her view of the truth about it, even tonight. Back to you in London.
Alex Thompson.
I've been getting away with it.